Today, we're diving into one of the most life-changing guides ever written, 12 Power Principles for Success by Bob Proctor. This isn't just another self-help book. It's a roadmap to unlocking your true potential. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've wondered why success seems to come easily to some people, but always slips from your hands, this summary is about to change the way you think, act, and live. Bob Proctor, a legendary teacher of success and wealth, dedicated his life to studying why some people achieve greatness while others struggle their entire lives. In this book, he reveals 12 timeless principles, powerful truths that can turn confusion into clarity, fear into confidence, and dreams into reality. As you listen, you'll discover why your thoughts create your world, how to make decisions that actually move your life forward, and the hidden keys that most people ignore when chasing success. And here's the bold promise. If you stay with me until the very end of this audiobook summary, you'll walk away with a completely new mindset, a way of thinking that can help you attract success, wealth, and happiness into every part of your life. So settle in, because what you're about to hear has the power to transform your future. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Audiobook 101, where we bring you the world's best books on success, wealth, mindset, productivity, and personal growth. If becoming the best version of yourself is your goal, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Responsibility. The very first principle Bob Proctor shares is responsibility. Now, this isn't the kind of responsibility your teachers or parents used to lecture you about, doing your homework on time, or cleaning your room. No, this is something far deeper, far more powerful. This is about taking full responsibility for your entire life. See, most people go through life with a finger always pointed outward. They say, I'm broke because of the government, or I'm unhappy because of my boss, or I can't succeed because of where I was born. And while those stories might feel comforting in the moment, they steal your power. The more you blame, the less control you have. But here's the real secret. The moment you take responsibility, you take back control. Responsibility means you stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems. It means you stop waiting for the economy to get better, or for your boss to finally recognize your worth. Instead, you stand up and say, this is my life, and I am in charge of what happens next. Now, responsibility doesn't mean you're guilty of every bad thing that has ever happened to you. That's not the point. It means you understand that you are always in control of your response. And your response, your choices, your actions, your mindset, creates your reality. That's the real power. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who seem unstoppable. They didn't get there by hiding from responsibility. They got there by embracing it. They knew that if they owned their decisions, they could also own their results. That's why responsibility is not a burden. It's freedom. It's the key that unlocks the prison door of excuses. So ask yourself, are you still blaming someone else for where you are? Or are you ready to grab the wheel and drive your own life forward? Because Bob Proctor would tell you, the moment you stop blaming and start owning, your life begins to transform. Responsibility is the first giant step toward success, and once you take it, nothing can hold you back. Belief. The second principle Bob Proctor gives us is belief. And let me tell you, belief is the engine of success. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how many books you've read, or how many opportunities cross your path. If deep inside you don't believe you can achieve something, you will sabotage yourself every single time. Belief is powerful because it shapes everything else. your attitude, your actions, and even the way other people see you. Think about it. Haven't you noticed that people with unshakable belief almost glow with confidence? When they walk into a room, you can feel it. They might not be the smartest or the most talented, but they believe in themselves so strongly that others start to believe in them too. That's the magic of belief. It multiplies. But here's the challenge. Most of us were raised with limiting beliefs. Maybe you were told, money doesn't grow on trees, or you're not smart enough, or people like us don't get rich. And without realizing it, we absorb those messages and let them build invisible walls around our potential. We begin to think small because somewhere along the line we were taught that dreaming big was dangerous. Bob Proctor turns that idea upside down. He says, your beliefs are not fixed in stone. They're choices. And just like you can choose what clothes to wear each morning, you can also choose what beliefs to put on every single day. Here's a story. Imagine a child learning to walk. At first, they stumble, they fall, they bump into furniture. But no child ever says, well, walking just isn't for me. No, they believe they can walk, and that belief keeps them trying until, step by step, they succeed. Now imagine if you carried that same unstoppable belief into your career, your business, your dreams. Where could it take you? Belief is like a seed. If you plant seeds of doubt, you grow failure. But if you plant seeds of faith, you grow success. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission to believe in yourself. You don't need a certificate or approval from the world. You simply decide, this is who I am, and this is what I will achieve, and then act as if it's already true. So the real question for you is, are your beliefs supporting you, or are they secretly holding you back? Because once you shift your beliefs, even just a little, your entire world begins to change. Opportunities appear where you never saw them before. Strength rises inside you when you thought you had none. And suddenly, the impossible starts to look possible. That is the power of belief. And if you make it a habit to believe in yourself, even when others doubt you, success will eventually have no choice but to follow. Attitude. The third principle Bob Proctor shares is attitude. And here's the truth. Your attitude is the lens through which you see the entire world. Change the lens, and suddenly the whole picture changes. Most people think attitude is just about how you act when things are going well, smiling, being polite, keeping your cool. But Proctor shows us that attitude is much deeper than that. It's not just your behavior. It's the vibration you carry. It's the energy you send out through your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Think about two people facing the same challenge. One sees a wall and says, "That's impossible." The other sees the same wall and says, "There must be a way around it." The situation hasn't changed. What changed? Attitude. And that small difference often decides who succeeds and who gives up. Here's the fascinating part. Your attitude doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. You've felt this before. Walk into a room where someone is angry, and the whole place feels heavy. Walk into a room where someone is excited and full of hope, and suddenly you feel lighter too. Your attitude is contagious. You can infect others with negativity, or you can inspire them with positivity. The choice is always yours. Bob Proctor believed that attitude is really a combination of three things: your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. If all three are lined up toward your goal, you become unstoppable. But if your thoughts say, "I can do this," while your feelings whisper, "I'm scared," and your actions show hesitation, then your results will always fall short. Success requires alignment. Let's make this simple. Imagine you're tuning a radio. If the station isn't set correctly, all you hear is static. But when you align it perfectly, the music flows loud and clear. Your attitude works the same way. Align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with success, and your life will start to broadcast results. Now here's the exciting part. You can choose your attitude at any moment. You can wake up in the morning and decide, no matter what happens today, I will stay positive. I will look for solutions, not problems. I will give my best energy. And when you do that consistently, life starts to respond differently. Opportunities open. People want to work with you. Success begins to feel natural. So the next time you catch yourself sinking into negativity, stop and ask, is this attitude helping me or hurting me? Because if you want to rise higher, your attitude must rise first. Bob Proctor said it best. Your attitude is the magic key that can either unlock doors or slam them shut. Which key will you carry? Goals, the fourth principle Bob Proctor gives us, is goals. And if there's one word that separates people who drift through life from those who achieve greatness, it's this: clarity. Without goals, life is like sailing without a compass. The winds of distraction, fear, and circumstance will push you anywhere, and usually not where you want to go. But with goals, suddenly you have direction. You know where you're going, and every choice becomes easier because you can ask yourself, does this move me closer to my goal or further away? Now, here's the surprising truth. Most people don't set real goals at all. They make wishes. They say, I want to be rich, or I want to be happy. But that's not a goal. That's just a vague hope. A real goal is clear, specific, and powerful enough to pull you forward even when things get tough. Bob Proctor loved to say that your goals should scare and excite you at the same time. If your goal doesn't make your heart race, it's probably too small. Why? Because the purpose of a goal isn't just to get something. It's to grow into someone greater along the way. When you set a big goal, you're forced to stretch, to develop new skills, to change your mindset. That's where the real reward lies. Think of it like climbing a mountain. At the bottom, the peak looks impossible. But as you take step after step, you discover strength you never knew you had. The mountain doesn't just give you the view at the top, it gives you a new version of yourself. Here's something else powerful. When you set a clear goal and focus on it, your mind begins to filter the world differently. Suddenly, opportunities that were invisible before start jumping out at you. It's like when you decide you want a certain car, and then you see that car everywhere. The opportunities were always there. You just weren't tuned in. Your goal is the frequency that tunes your mind. But here's the catch. Goals require commitment. It's not enough to write them down and forget about them. You need to live with them, breathe them, think about them daily. You need to make decisions that align with them, even when it's uncomfortable. That's how goals become reality. So ask yourself right now, what do you really want? Not what you think you can get, not what others expect from you, but what you truly, deeply desire. Because when you lock onto a goal that lights your soul on fire, you won't need to chase success. Success will come chasing you. Remember this, goals aren't just about achieving, they're about becoming. And the bigger the goal, the bigger the person you must grow into. That is the true magic of goal setting. Persistence. The fifth principle is persistence. And let's be honest, this is the one that separates the dreamers from the doers. See, starting is easy. Everyone can start. Anyone can make a plan, get excited for a week, or take the first step. But persistence is what keeps you moving long after the excitement has faded. It's the discipline to keep going when no one's watching, when the results aren't showing yet, and when giving up would be so much easier. Bob Proctor reminds us that the path to success is never a straight line. It's full of twists, delays, and disappointments. And here's the truth. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They plant the seed, water it for a while, and then stop just before the roots have taken hold. Success requires the patience to stay with the process until the harvest comes. Think about Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb in a weekend. He failed thousands of times. Thousands. But he didn't call them failures. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's persistence. It's the ability to look at obstacles and say, this is just part of the journey. And here's the good news. Persistence is not something you're born with. It's a habit you build. Every time you push through resistance, you strengthen your persistence muscle. And just like lifting weights at the gym, the more you do it, the stronger you get. Now, let's be clear. Persistence isn't about stubbornly doing the same wrong thing over and over. It's about adapting, learning, and trying again with new wisdom. It's about holding on to the vision while adjusting the method. You don't give up on the dream. You simply find new ways to reach it. There's a story Proctor often shared about a man who bought land during the gold rush. He dug and dug, but found nothing. Discouraged, he sold the land. The next owner dug just a little deeper and struck gold. Can you imagine that? Quitting 3 feet away from fortune. That's what most people do in life. So ask yourself, where have you stopped short? Where did you give up too soon? Because persistence is the bridge between desire and achievement. It's the secret ingredient that turns average people into extraordinary success stories. Remember this. Talent will get you started, luck may give you a push, but persistence is what takes you all the way. If you refuse to quit, you cannot lose. The only real failure is giving up. Decision? The 6th principle Bob Proctor gives us is decision. And this one is a game changer because your entire life is shaped by the decisions you make or the ones you avoid making. Most people live in hesitation. They wait for the right time, for more certainty, for someone else to tell them what to do. But here's the problem. Waiting is also a decision. Indecision is a choice, and it almost always leads to regret. Successful people, on the other hand, develop the habit of making decisions quickly and firmly. They don't waste their energy stuck in endless what-ifs. They decide, they commit, and they move forward. That confidence, that clarity, attracts opportunities like a magnet. Now, let's be real. Decision doesn't mean you'll always be right. You'll make mistakes. Everyone does. But making a wrong decision is far better than making no decision at all, because at least you're moving. You can adjust, you can course correct, you can learn. But you can't learn or grow while you're frozen in hesitation. Bob Proctor used to say that ambivalence, the tug-of-war between two conflicting feelings, is one of the greatest enemies of success. Imagine standing with 1 foot on the dock and 1 foot in the boat. Sooner or later, you're going to fall in the water. That's what happens when you live without decision. Here's a little story. A man once stood at the edge of a road with 2 paths in front of him. He wanted to take both, but he couldn't. He stood there so long, weighing every possibility, that the opportunity passed him by. That's what indecision does. It robs you of time, energy, and the very chances that could change your life. When you decide, something powerful happens inside you. Doubt loses its grip. Fear begins to shrink. Your mind clears, and your energy aligns with your choice. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see the way forward. And here's the key. Decisions create momentum. Every decision, no matter how small, trains your brain to act. Over time, you build the muscle of decisiveness, and that muscle will carry you through the big choices that shape your destiny. So ask yourself, what decisions have you been avoiding? What opportunities are waiting on the other side of your hesitation? Because once you learn to decide quickly, confidently, and consistently, you stop drifting and start directing your life. Bob Proctor would tell you this: indecision kills more dreams than failure ever will. Decide today, and you'll already be miles ahead of those still standing at the crossroads. Discipline. The seventh principle Bob Proctor teaches is discipline. And let's be honest, this is the one most people resist. The very word discipline often makes people think of punishment, restriction, or something unpleasant. But in truth, discipline is not a cage. It's the key to freedom. Think about it. Every great achievement in history, whether it was building a business, writing a book, or creating a masterpiece, was built on discipline. Talent might get you started, motivation might give you a spark, but only discipline keeps you moving when the excitement fades. Bob Proctor says discipline is really about training yourself to do what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like it. It's about aligning your actions with your vision instead of letting moods, laziness, or distractions control you. Without discipline, your dreams remain just that, dreams. With discipline, they turn into reality. Here's a picture for you. Imagine a river with no banks. The water spreads out everywhere, but it goes nowhere. Now imagine that same river with strong banks guiding it. Suddenly, the water has power. It can generate electricity, carve valleys, and move mountains. That's what discipline does for your life. It gives direction and power to your energy. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you feel like it. But true freedom is the result of discipline. The athlete who trains daily is free to run faster, jump higher, and play stronger than anyone else. The musician who practices with discipline is free to create beauty on command. Discipline unlocks the freedom to perform at your best. Bob often said that discipline isn't about self-denial. It's about self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, when you say, "I'll wake up early," and you do, or "I'll finish this project," and you actually finish, it builds trust in yourself. And that trust becomes confidence. You start to believe in your own word. That's powerful. Of course, discipline isn't easy. There will be days when your mind screams, "Skip it. Do it tomorrow. No one will know." But here's the thing. You'll know. And every time you give in, you weaken your own character. But every time you push through, even in small ways, you grow stronger. So how do you build discipline? You start small. You choose one thing, maybe waking up at a certain time or sticking to a routine, and you do it consistently. Over time, that small act strengthens your discipline muscle, and soon you can handle bigger challenges with ease. Remember this: discipline is not the enemy of joy. It's the doorway to it, because when you have discipline, you're no longer a slave to moods, distractions, or excuses. You are in control, and with control, comes confidence, progress, and ultimately success. So the next time you feel tempted to quit or procrastinate, remind yourself, discipline is not holding you back. It's pushing you forward. It is the bridge between wanting something and actually living it. Success. The eighth principle Bob Proctor teaches is success. And here's the truth. You cannot reach success until you first decide what success actually means to you. Most people chase someone else's definition. They think success means a big house, a luxury car, or $1 million in the bank. But then you meet people who have all those things, and they're still miserable. Why? Because real success isn't about ticking society's boxes. It's about living a life that matches your own purpose, your own values, and your own dreams. Bob Proctor said it simply, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Notice that, progressive realization. Success isn't only the finish line, it's the journey of moving step by step toward a goal that inspires you. If you're growing, if you're stretching, if you're working towards something that truly matters to you, then you're already successful. Think about a student studying late at night because they dream of becoming a doctor. That student may not have the title yet, but they are a success because they are progressing toward their worthy ideal. Think about an entrepreneur building a small business with a vision to serve people. Even if the money hasn't come yet, that person is a success. Success is not a destination. It's a direction. Here's another important part. Success is different for everyone. For one person, success might be financial freedom. For another, it could be raising a loving family. For someone else, it might mean living with peace of mind, free from stress. The point is, you must define it for yourself. Otherwise, you'll spend your life climbing a ladder only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. And here's the beautiful thing. When you live by your definition of success, life becomes more joyful. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's standards. Instead, you wake up with purpose, you go to bed with satisfaction, and every day in between feels meaningful. Bob Proctor also reminds us that success is never an accident. It comes from deliberate action, consistent effort, and a mindset tuned toward growth. If you keep waiting for luck or chance, you'll wait forever. But if you keep moving, learning, and applying the principles you're hearing right now, success becomes inevitable. So ask yourself, what is your worthy ideal? What dream feels so important that working toward it would make every day meaningful? When you answer that question and commit to it, you are already living a successful life. Because success is not about reaching the top, it's about becoming more on the way up. Remember this, success is not what the world tells you it should be. Success is what your heart whispers when you're quiet enough to listen. Obedience. The ninth principle Bob Proctor gives us is obedience. Now, don't let that word throw you off. When most people hear obedience, they think of blindly following orders, doing what you're told without question. But that's not what Bob meant. He wasn't talking about obedience to people. He was talking about obedience to the laws of life. See, our universe runs on order. Just like gravity pulls everything toward the earth, there are invisible laws that govern success, abundance, and happiness. You can fight those laws, ignore them, or pretend they don't exist, but you'll pay the price. On the other hand, when you understand them and align yourself with them, life begins to flow. Things that once felt impossible suddenly feel natural. Think about the law of cause and effect. It doesn't matter who you are. If you plant good seeds, you get a good harvest. If you plant weeds, you get weeds. Or, the law of attraction, what you focus on expands. Fill your mind with fear and limitation, and that's what you'll attract. Fill your mind with faith and possibility, and doors will open that you didn't even know existed. Obedience simply means living in harmony with these universal truths. It means respecting the principles that govern success instead of resisting them. For example, persistence is a law of growth. Gratitude is a law of abundance. Responsibility is a law of freedom. These aren't random ideas. They're timeless truths. And when you obey them, you unlock their power. Let's put it this way. Imagine someone who refuses to obey the law of gravity. They step off a building and shout, "I don't believe in this law." Well, belief doesn't matter. The law works whether you like it or not. Success works the same way. If you disobey the laws of discipline, decision, and persistence, you'll fall, just like the person who ignores gravity. But if you respect those laws, you can build bridges, fly airplanes, and explore the stars. Bob Proctor believed obedience is really about humility. It's about recognizing that the universe is bigger than you, and that by aligning with its principles, you gain access to its power. You stop fighting against life, and instead, you start flowing with it. So ask yourself, are you resisting the very laws that could help you? Are you ignoring discipline, avoiding responsibility, or doubting belief? Or are you ready to live in obedience to the timeless principles that guarantee growth and success? Because here's the truth. When you live in harmony with the laws of the universe, life doesn't get easier. You get stronger, and everything begins to work in your favor. Faith. The 10th principle Bob Proctor teaches is faith. And this is where the magic really begins, because faith is not just hope. It's not just wishing. Faith is a state of certainty, even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet. Think about it. Every great achievement in history began with faith. The Wright brothers had faith that humans could fly long before the first airplane ever lifted off the ground. Edison had faith that light could come from a bulb long before electricity filled our homes. Faith is the bridge between the invisible idea and the visible result. Bob Proctor explains that faith is born in the mind. Whatever thoughts you allow to dominate your thinking will eventually take root as belief. If you constantly feed yourself fear and doubt, your faith will weaken. But if you feed your mind with success, positivity, and possibility, your faith will grow stronger until nothing can shake it. Here's the secret. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need to take the first step, trusting that the rest will appear. Faith is acting as if the result is already on its way, and when you do that, you send a powerful message to your subconscious mind. This is real. This is happening. That belief then drives your actions, and your actions create results. Let me give you a picture. Imagine planting a seed. You cover it with soil, water it, and then nothing. For days, maybe weeks, you see no sign of life. But if you keep caring for it with faith, one day a little green sprout breaks through. That's how faith works. You hold the vision. You keep nurturing it. And even if you don't see results immediately, you trust that growth is happening underground. Now here's something important. Faith and fear demand the same thing from you. They both ask you to believe in something you cannot see. Fear says, "What if it goes wrong?" Faith says, "What if it goes right?" And whichever one you choose to believe in will shape your life. Bob Proctor often said, "Faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible, and that is what enables you to achieve the impossible." Without faith, you hesitate, you hold back, and you give up too soon. With faith, you move boldly, you persist longer, and you attract the people and resources you need. So ask yourself right now, what do you believe about your future? Do you have faith in your potential? Faith in your dreams? Faith that the universe will support you if you step up? Because if you do, then you already hold the same power that has fueled every success story the world has ever known. Faith isn't wishful thinking. It's the fuel that turns your vision into reality. Action. The 11th principle Bob Proctor teaches is action. And this is where most people get stuck. They read the books, they attend the seminars, they visualize their dreams, but when it comes time to take action, they freeze. Here's the truth. Knowledge is potential power, but it only becomes real power when you act on it. You can have the best ideas in the world, but if they never leave your head, they're worthless. Action is what transforms ideas into results. Bob Proctor often reminded us that the universe responds to movement. It doesn't reward the thinker who endlessly plans but never starts. It rewards the doer, the one who takes the leap, makes the call, starts the project, even if it's messy at first. Why? Because action creates momentum, and momentum is a force far greater than motivation. Think of a train sitting still on the tracks. Even a small block of wood can keep it from moving. But once that train is at full speed, it can smash through steel barriers. Your life works the same way. Starting may feel hard, but once you're in motion, nothing can stop you. Now here's the mistake most people make. They wait for perfect conditions. They say, I'll start when I have more money, when I feel ready, when the timing is right. But here's the reality. The timing is never perfect. Conditions will never be flawless. The people who succeed are the ones who start anyway. They act in faith, and they figure things out as they go. Action also builds confidence. Every time you act, even in small ways, you prove to yourself that you're capable. And the more you act, the more your self-belief grows. It's like climbing a staircase in the dark. You may not see the top, but with each step you take, you feel stronger and more certain that you'll get there. But remember this, action without direction is wasted energy. Bob Proctor taught that your actions must align with your goals and vision. Don't just stay busy, stay purposeful. Every action should be a step forward, not just movement in circles. So let me ask you, what's the one action you've been putting off? That phone call, that application, that business idea, that conversation. Imagine how different your life could look a year from now if you started today. The truth is, success doesn't come to the one who waits. It comes to the one who acts. So stop overthinking, stop waiting for perfect, and take the step that's in front of you right now. Because once you step into action, life steps toward you. And there you have it, Bob Proctor's 12 Power Principles for Success. 12 timeless lessons that, if you take them seriously, can completely transform your life. Think about what we've just explored. It begins with responsibility, owning your life fully. Then belief, because nothing is possible until you believe it is. Attitude, the energy you carry into every day. Goals, the compass that gives you direction. Persistence, the grit to keep moving when it's tough. Decision, the courage to choose and commit. Discipline, the self-respect to stay consistent. Success, the progressive realization of your own worthy ideal. Obedience, living in harmony with the laws of life. Faith, the power to act without seeing the full picture. Action, the bridge between ideas and results. And finally, service, because real success comes when your life makes a difference for others. These principles aren't just theories. They are practical tools. If you listen back and start applying even one of them, your mindset will shift, your results will change, and your life will move in a new direction. But if you commit to all 12 and live them daily, you'll discover a version of yourself more powerful, more confident, and more capable than you ever imagined. Remember this: success doesn't come from luck or chance or waiting for the right moment. It comes from aligning your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, and your heart with these principles. When you do, success isn't just possible, it becomes inevitable. So as you finish this audiobook summary, ask yourself, which principle will I put into practice today? Because knowledge alone won't change your life. Application will. And before we go, if you found this inspiring, make sure to subscribe to Audiobook 101. Here, we bring you the world's best books on success, wealth, mindset, productivity, and personal growth. Books that can shape your future and fuel your journey. Thank you for listening. Now it's your turn to take these principles and write your own success story. Remember, your future begins the moment you decide.